At exactly 3:12 a.m., I jolted out of bed, convinced someone had broken into my home. What else, after all, sound like a freight train tearing through your living room? I swung my legs over the edge of the bed, and my feet were immediately met with cold, ankle-deep water. That was when I realized the truth. This wasn't a break-in. This was a flood. Water surged through the walls of my basement like my house had been cursed by Poseidon himself. I stood there in drenched pajama pants, whispering, "What the hell is happening?" 10 minutes later, flashlight in hand, I discovered the source. A torrent of stormwater pouring directly into my lower level like it had a vendetta. The best part? It was all thanks to the HOA's shiny new drainage improvements. They'd rerouted storm runoff from the community garden straight into my home. When I called the HOA the next morning, still soaked and seething, I was met with Karen. Not just any Karen, but the Karen, self-appointed queen bee of the Willow Glen HOA. She actually laughed and said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have built a house with a basement." That was when I knew I wasn't just dealing with negligence. I was dealing with arrogance. But what Karen didn't know, and what made me grin like a madman in the middle of my soaked man cave, was that I had something she didn't count on, a specific and extremely powerful insurance policy. By sunrise, my basement looked like a failed water park. Rugs floated like ghost ships. My treadmill had short-circuited itself into a smoky mess. The only dry item? An unopened box of dehumidifiers mocking me from a high shelf. My dog, Rufus, stood at the top of the stairs, looking at me like I was the moron who installed an indoor aquarium. I walked through the mess, snapping photo after photo. The smell of soaked drywall and ruined electronics clung to everything. But I wasn't worried. I knew something Karen didn't. I used to be a commercial insurance analyst. And years ago, during a chat with my agent Dan, a Hawaiian shirt-wearing lunatic, I had agreed to a unique add-on policy. One that protected me from third-party negligence, including HOAs. The plumber who showed up confirmed it. Not a burst pipe. This is runoff. The pressure's coming from street level. He raised an eyebrow. "You got enemies at City Hall or something?" "Worse," I said. "I've got an HOA." By mid-morning, I was on the phone with Karen again. She answered on the first ring. "Yes," she said curtly. "I heard about your water issue." "Water issue?" I said. "My basement is Atlantis." She responded with practiced coldness. "Our drainage plan was approved by the board and executed by licensed contractors. If your home wasn't up to code, that's not our concern. They jackhammered the storm gutter and rerouted water behind the clubhouse. Right into my property. To prevent erosion," she replied. "Erosion into what?" "My house." "Well, technically erosion is a natural process," she muttered. That was when I decided I was done playing nice. Karen had fined a neighbor for putting Halloween decorations out too early. Sent a notice to a retired veteran about his flag being too flappy. And now her little project had destroyed my home. But she didn't know about Dan. When I called him, Dan whistled. "Buddy," he said, "you got the HOA special clause. I haven't seen one of those triggered in years. They're going to hate this." Dan dispachet Barry. Barry was an adjuster who looked like a cross between Sherlock Holmes and a beach bum. Cargo shorts, flip-flops, GoPro strapped to his chest. He sniffed the air of my ruined laundry room and declared, "Ah yes, third-party liability. Let's document the hell out of this." Barry took water samples, elevation readings, and tracked the runoff trench straight to my foundation. No retaining break. No permits. This wasn't drainage. This was a lawsuit with shovels. He even found evidence the work was done without proper city inspection. No permit. No oversight. Just HOA board members directing construction like suburban pharaohs. When the HOA meeting was announced with less than 24 hours notice, I showed up anyway. Still smelling like mildew. The clubhouse smelled of printer ink and passive aggression. Karen sat at the head of the table, flanked by Chad, the polo shirt-wearing VP, and Bob, the treasurer who always looked confused. Karen began with, "Let the minutes show the HOA is not responsible for acts of God or personal landscaping failures." I calmly responded, "Let the minutes also show your contractors had no permits and caused $89,000 in damage." Assigning blame won't fix your basement, Karen replied. No, I said, but liability insurance will. She blinked. Chad squirmed. Bob looked up from his crossword. When she said, we don't recognize private insurance claims against the HOA, I replied, great. You'll be served next week. Then Barry walked in, flashing his adjuster badge. Sorry to interrupt. Just need to confirm a few things. Karen tried to eject him. Barry smiled. Your bylaws require open meetings. This isn't disciplinary. He pulled up footage from his GoPro. The trench, the flood path, even a contractor admitting Karen declined a second inspection. It was devastating. The board sputtered. I sat back. The insurance company was already filing a lawsuit. 3 days later, I got a cease and desist letter accusing me of slander and emotional harassment. I handed it to Dan. He laughed with a mouthful of burrito. Classic HOA panic move. Barry compiled a highlight reel with drone footage, thermal imaging, and even slow-mo of Karen yelling, just finish it before anyone sees. Meanwhile, I went to Valerie, a local reporter. She published a piece titled Flooded by Authority, and it went viral. Karen tried a PR stunt with a garden hose to create her own flood, but Rufus wandered into the shot and drank from the puddle. Valerie aired it unedited. The payout came through, nearly $90,000. But more importantly, the insurance company filed a lawsuit against the HOA. Karen, Chad, and Bob were named individually. Neighbors began to speak up. Donna, the HOA secretary, handed me emails, plans, and a voicemail. Karen saying, just get it done. We'll handle complaints later. At the next meeting, Karen tried to spin it. Residents shouted her down. Someone yelled, by flooding our homes and lying about it. The board was removed by emergency vote. Karen tried to salvage her image with newsletters, door-to-door manifestos, and accusations of external infiltration, but it was too late. A video of her muttering betrayal went viral. Mediation was swift. Barry dismantled the defense piece by piece. Evelyn, the interim president, told Karen, you didn't care when you fined people over mailbox paint. Don't ask for grace now. A full settlement was reached. Damages paid. Hoa Suet. Karen personally held accountable. Back home, I rebuilt my basement. Installed waterproof flooring. A bar. We called it the flood zone. It became the neighborhood hangout. Even Barry came by, in a rain cloud Hawaiian shirt, with wings so spicy they became legend. Karen? Gone. Her house sold. The new owners brought toddlers and barbecues. The HOA was audited. Karen's cousin was listed as an aesthetic consultant. The board changed. No more fines for mailbox color. No secret meetings. The neighborhood relaxed. Kids played. Neighbors smiled. Donna gave me a peace lily. Dan sent a popcorn-themed thank you. Another HOA emailed me for consultation. I laughed. Maybe justice doesn't come with fireworks. Maybe it comes with GoPro footage, policy clauses, and a flood. I keep my insurance policy in a waterproof folder now, just in case.